face to face with Ramana Maharshi. These are experiences of devotees face to face with Ramana Maharshi. Mr. R. Narayana Iyer was one such devotee. He did personal service to Sri Ramana. He wrote a number of articles in the Mountain Path under the pen name Vishnu. When he first went to Sri Ramana as a young man, he was a modernist and a free thinker. The gist of his experiences face to face with Ramana Maharshi is provided here. Here are his words. I was a complete skeptic with no religion in me, scoffing in my references to sadhus, sannyasis, and swamis, whom I considered impostors and parasites on society who exploited the credulous folk for personal ends. My only friend and constant companion asked me to accompany him to Tiruvannamalai during the festival of Kartigai Deepam. The pomp and pageantry of the temple festival had no attraction for me. Yet I agreed, not wishing to hurt my friend's feelings. I consented to stay at the ashram, which was less crowded. On the way, I repeated my opinion about the so-called holy men, and I said to my friend, Dr. Iyer, I will not come in or join in any of your foolish acts. If by chance I meet your Swami, I will not prostrate before him. I mean no insult, but I cannot do what is against my conviction. We reached the ashram. We walked in. A man in a white loincloth, a towel suspended on his shoulder, a kamandalam, which is a water pot, in one hand, and a walking stick in another, stopped in his walk on seeing us. My friend hastened his steps, and I slowly followed. My friend was greeted very kindly and was asked about the welfare of his mother and brother. Out of courtesy, I looked at the Maharishi. And what a wonderful face, and what a welcoming smile. Bewitching, fascinating, and a powerful look too. In a moment, I was at his feet on the gravel ground. I soon regained my self-possession and felt ashamed. With a pleasing smile, he said, You have a couple of days' leave, is it not so? You can stay in the ashramam. I dared not to say anything. I was dazed. Soon I recovered. I then wanted to find out if he had written any books. I got a copy of Reality in 40 verses in Tamil. I tried to read the first stanza. I could not follow. The words seemed too closely packed and somehow jumbled together to form a stanza. I was flabbergasted. What? I thought. Can he not say what he has to say in some intelligible language? At that time, someone nearby said that it had been arranged that the Maharishi himself would explain to us the 40 verses of reality that night. At night, the Maharishi sat on a little platform inside a shed containing his mother's shrine. About half a dozen of us were seated on the ground before him. A solemn stillness pervaded the air. There was absolute silence. Maharishi read out the first stanza. The mere reading of the stanza made the meaning as simple as simplicity itself. Stanza by stanza he read and explained in a voice that was so sweet and melodious and coming as though from somewhere in the space. The climax came. Explaining one verse, he said, God cannot be seen with our eyes or known by our sense perceptions. This is what is meant by the saying, to see God is to become God. At that time, a dedicated devotee with a severe expression named Dandapani Swami interposed. Is Bhagavan saying this out of personal experience? The question asked bluntly, with such simplicity and lack of guile, was answered by the Maharishi with equal candor. If not, would I dare to say so? What usually takes so much time to think and understand flashed upon me in a moment, and that was, God cannot be known by our sense faculties. The only way was to become God. If God were to appear before one in flesh and blood, here he is. My body experienced a thrill from somewhere deep down in me. Again and again, thrill after thrill quivered and shook my frame. I went out to compose myself. Another time, I asked the Maharishi, Bhagavan, you left your home in Madurai where your relatives had been treating you with love and kindness and spending money upon your education. You even misappropriated their money for your train fare to Tiruvannamalai. You sneaked your way to the railway station so as not to be noticed by anyone. You posed yourself as a pilgrim who had lost his stuff. Was all this straightforward and proper? Maharishi was silent for a while and then replied, This can be explained. It is said in the Tirukkural that even falsehood is akin to truth when it is for unblemished selfless good and harms none. Later, at one time, I told Maharishi, I have been here for many years. People meditate and get into samadhi, intense silence of the mind. I close my eyes for a minute and the mind travels around the world 10 times, and so many long forgotten things come up. Hearing this, the Maharishi said, Why do you concern yourself about others? They may meditate or sleep and snore. Look to yourself. Whenever the mind goes astray, bring it back to the quest. Here is an incident that deeply impressed me. Once a few very learned Sanskrit scholars were seated in the hall discussing portions of the Upanishads and other scriptural texts with Maharishi. I felt in my heart how great these people are and how fortunate they are to be so learned and to have such deep understanding and ability to discuss with our Bhagavan. I felt miserable. After the Pandits had taken leave, Maharishi turned to me and said, What? Looking into my eyes and studying my thoughts. He continued, This is all only the husk. All this book learning and capacity to repeat the scriptures by memory is absolutely of no use. To know the truth, you need not undergo all this torture of learning. Not by reading do you get the truth. Be quiet, that is truth. Be still, that is God. Then very graciously he turned to me again, and there was an immediate change in his tone and attitude. He asked me, "Do you shave yourself?" Bewildered by this sudden change in the conversation, I answered, trembling, "Yes, I do." "Ah," he said, "for shaving you use a mirror, don't you? You look into the mirror and then shave your face. You don't shave the image in the mirror." Similarly, all the scriptures are meant only to show you the way of self-realization. They are meant for practice and attainment. Mere book learning and discussions are comparable to a man shaving the image in the mirror. After the Maharishi said this, from that day onwards, my long-standing sense of inferiority vanished once for all. One time, I cried and told the Maharishi that I knew nothing about Vedanta, nor could I practice austerity, being a householder. I prayed to him to help me by showing the reality or the way to it. I also frankly told him that his method of self-enquiry was too difficult for me. He then graciously said, "You know Ulladu Narpadu, truth in 40 verses? It imparts pure truth. It deals with it and explains it. Go on reading it verse by verse. The words of the verses will in course of time vanish, and pure truth alone will shine, like the snake relinquishing its skin and coming out shining." This was amazing to me. On another occasion, I felt puzzled by the teaching that everything in the world is Maya or illusion. I asked Maharishi how, with the physical existence before our eyes, we can all be unreal and non-existent. Bhagavan laughed. He asked me whether I had any dream the previous night. I replied that I saw several people lying asleep. He said, "Suppose now I ask you to go and wake up all those people in the dream and tell them they are not real. How absurd would it be?" That is how it is to me. There is nothing but the dreamer. So where does the question of dream people, real or unreal, arise? Still more, where does the question arise of waking them up and telling them that they are not real? We are all unreal. Why do you doubt it? That alone is real. After this explanation, I never had any doubt about the unreality of the objective world. Later, when I asked about the Jivan Mukta, the liberated soul, Maharishi said, "The Jivan Mukta is one without any thoughts or sankalpas. The thought process ceases completely in him. Some power makes him do things. So he is not the doer, but the one who is made to do." To summarize, I would like to say that it is our greatest fortune that the Supreme Consciousness, appearing in the garb of a human body, graciously undertook to come down to our level of understanding and bore the tremendous task of imparting to us the Atma Vidya, knowledge of the self. The contact and impact that I have had with the Maharishi have been such that it makes me feel that knowingly or unknowingly, I must have done something in the course of my lives to deserve this unique blessing. Thus concludes the narrative of the experiences of Mr. R. Narayana Iyer face to face with Sri Ramana Maharishi.